This is Manfield Autocourse, a circuit based in New Zealand which hosts round 4 of the Virtual Championship. This layout is considered a mini roller coaster with fast flick entries, cambered corners and abrupt bumps which can upset the car. Expect some fireworks at this one, as I'm sure things will get spicy. No messing around, let's head straight into qualifying and let's see how we got on. Okay, so our first run is on the left, our second run is on the right, 90 on the first run and a 93.7, and as you could see on initiation here, first run is actually looking very, very good. We're on the line better, but we drop a wheel on the inside of run number 2 on the right hand side. Clipping 0.5 here looking pretty good, into number 6 is pretty good. Transition into 7, as you can see, we actually dirt drop on the left run, and we still managed to get the clipping point, but obviously that dirt drop means drops a lot of points. And yeah, you know what, getting a 93.7 is obviously a good score, but you know, that first run, I think that was on point for a 95 point run actually. With that dirt drop, we probably lost 2 to 3 points potentially, and that really affected us in the qualifying position. We ended up qualifying 10th overall with the 93.7 from the second run, which wasn't really the cleanest. But you know what, we were into battle action, and that's all that matters. And to be honest, on this track, it seemed like, in hindsight, qualifying position didn't really matter, because stuff was going to get pretty interesting anyway. And pretty interesting it did get. This is our first run of top 32 as we lead in Dimitri Mitten as we initiate into the first outer zone, and we're looking pretty good, but Dimitri's right there with us. So we transition through 10.2 into 3, and we're now going to go through number 4 here, and Dimitri's right there with us all the way, pushing us. He did make a few mistakes prior to the run, but he's right there with us all the way to the finish line. And as we now switch positions, we're now going to see what happens next, which was one of the bigger controversies of the night. As we flick in with Dimitri as he wobbles down the straight, we drop back a couple of car lengths, and as we do, we make contact to transition and we lose drift. Dimitri finishes off the run, and yeah, we try to I suppose get back into it, but as you can see, we're not even on live stream camera right now. But yeah, obviously, judges felt that contact was shared fault. Dimitri had a weak initiation. They felt that he was the reason that placed me in the middle of the track. And then obviously they felt that my contact or the contact that I gave Dimitri was kind of partly his fault too, for that awkward initiation that he provided me. So they shared the fault between the two of us. They defaulted back to the first run, and the mistakes that he made in the first run meant that we got the win and we moved on. Top 16 against Alexander Sevryuk. Sevryuk back again once into VDC, and as you can see, really doing a great job on the lead run here, really fast, but we're right there with him as we drop wheels on the inside of the zone. But Sevryuk really dropped back on that area as well, and he drops back an angle, not really angle matching, as we dove lovely into his door, and he actually hesitates getting through that outer zone. He leaves it a bit early, so I think we won the lead run, and obviously the chase was super close. This run probably deserves to go one more time, and I think it could have arguably gone one more time, but we end up getting you in and moving on. Another lucky call for us, obviously, for that one, but yeah, look, we'll take the win, we move on, and we're through to the top 8. Next up is Artem Makashenko, and in against his Mark IV Supra, and this battle obviously a very close one as well. As we initiate through, I'll give a big gap here on the transition, because these guys run low rotation and they're very quick with it, and obviously I knew he's mistaken the first run, so I needed to kind of get a good clean chase run, but it wasn't really my cleanest of chase runs, as he does a really good dive on the last corner here as you cross the line. And this particular battle going one more time, the judges felt it was too close to call, and taking us to a one more time battle as we now leave again for our one more time battle against Artem as we initiate in, and Artem does a really good job on initiation on the outside zone. He does a good transition here behind us. He's right there with us as he kind of shallows up an angle, drops the wheel over the white line, but he's still there with us all the way. Lovely transition behind, maybe a bit shallow on angle, but really pushing us through to the final transition as he dives onto the door. Maybe a little wobble, a bit of understeer, but he manages to clean it up and get across the line behind us. As we now swap positions, this time we are to chase in Artem, and as we initiate in, nice mimic of the initiation from us as Artem does everything he needs to do in the lead position, and we drop back a tiny bit in the transition here, but ease up lovely onto his door and give him a bit of space for the transition here as he gathers a little bit away from us, but we still angle match through the transition here behind him as we didn't kind of struggle our way up onto his door. A bit of a wobble there from us, but Artem dart dropping there across the finish line. I don't think it was a clear-cut call, but yeah, we'll take the win and we move on. Another lucky one for us. I do think that could have gone either way, but yeah, we'll take it when we move on. Okay, up against Robert and he's 370Z as we now initiate in for the top 4 battle. As we can see, we have a bit of a gap on Robert, as Robert in his lead run is struggling to make the outside zone. We did a nice dive on the transition in our chase run against Robert. As you could see from Robert, he's not really the cleanest of chase runs. He's right there with us, but he's making mistakes. He's shallow on the outside zone here as we dive lovely onto his door. He's run wide on the inner zone there. And yeah, not the greatest of lead runs from Robert and not the greatest of chase runs. And the judges felt that, yeah, we got the win on that one and letting us move on into the finals. Final time against Brandon Patrick as we lead in the Ferrari 5.9 driver. And yeah, as we initiate in, Brandon's right there with us. Probably could have been a little bit closer there. But he, as he transitions here, he drops back 2 or 3 car lengths and doesn't really catch back up until after the transition right here, which is a little bit too late to really say if that's going to be enough for him. And as he again goes into this area, a bit shallow on angle for Brandon as we change positions here. And I do feel after that particular chase run from Brandon, we do have a slight advantage here. All we have to do is just kind of bring it home, be close in the areas that he didn't make those mistakes in. And as we flick in here, we make contact with Brandon and Brandon drops 2 wheels off into the dirt. And yeah, I think that mistake definitely on us there as Brandon collects himself and manages to keep the run going. But obviously that mistake from us, giving the contact, putting him off track, that's not his fault whatsoever. And yeah, no more mistakes from Brandon. Pretty clear cut there. Brandon getting the win there for the final. Not the mistake I wanted to make, making that bit of contact. I did feel that I was kind of considering was maybe Brandon made a little hesitation on the handbrake or something like that on initiation. But I look back at some of his other runs against some other drivers, and I think he was just a bit hesitant there, which maybe was the reason for the contact spot a bit. But yeah, I take full blame on that one. That was a pretty clear cut, though 100% my fault. And yeah, Brandon gets the win for the final for the finals here in round 4 of VDC. So guys, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. At the very end, there is a little bit snippet of our top 32 battle breakdown, which you might find interesting against Dimitri Mitten. But yeah, other than that, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more of this type of content, make sure to subscribe down below or give us a follow on all of our socials. This weekend, we have round 5 of the Virtual Championship. We're at Wall Stadium. So it's going to be a super interesting event, and it would be great to see you guys there on stream. All right, that's it for now. Thank you. Goodbye. Okay, so I just want to hop into the replay cam that I saved after a battle with Dimitri and show you guys some extra bits of detail that I found that maybe you guys might find interesting. So first of all, I want to state that in my chase run here on the straight, you can see I'm 3/4 throttle all the way down the straight. Look, I don't believe this is right in my eyes. I shouldn't have to slow myself down for someone, especially in VDC. Look, we all have 1,000 horsepower. We all have the same opportunities as everyone else. There's no limitations for your top speed or anything like that. So there's no reason for him to be restricting me how much throttle input I should go down a straight line into the first corner. I also want to take note of my initiation speeds in the chase run from this point. As you can see at this at the third cone for the 321 section, you can see that I'm in his run doing 142 or 3 kilometers, and in later runs I'm 10-15 kilometers faster versus Artem, Robert, and obviously Brandon. So I mean, in that sense, look, if you look at that, he's what, maybe 10 or 15 kilometers slower than anyone else on initiation compared to other drivers, which in my opinion, I think that is that's not right at all. I think that's a mistake on his behalf. He obviously, you could tell going on the straight, he wasn't the most stable. It definitely wasn't his greatest initiations, and I do think if you're going to make a mistake and you know, you're not the most comfortable down the straight looking like that, you should get deducted for it. You know, there's no reason to be that much slower than anyone else. Obviously, because of that speed, it restricted how I could initiate. I lost a lot of momentum. I wasn't sure what was going on. And obviously the worst case scenario here was me making contact, which could have easily happened, especially with how slow we were going. And I didn't want to back off too much down the straight because I didn't want to lose too much of a gap on initiation, because this track, you can't really catch up until the last transition. So, I mean, you kind of have to be with them at the start, and I knew that was the case. So I figured that this was the best case scenario for us to be able to get with them. But I was kind of hoping that we weren't going to get compromised after the flick. And as you could see, yeah, once we actually get into the outside zone, we're a couple of car lengths behind, and we are in the middle of the track. And you would expect when I'm side by side with him down the straight that I'd be on his door immediately and in really good proximity, but obviously not. And the reason for that is because of the speed that we initiated it. So yeah, we're not in a great position now. We're in probably one of the worst case scenarios here. We're on the wrong line. We should be on at least the outside zone here for this particular corner into the transition, because well, we actually need to be on the correct line as a chase driver to be able to have good proximity after the transition. Now, by looks of things, Dimitri does nothing really wrong from the lead position. He doesn't do any weird angle wobbles. He's on the correct line. He's carrying decent momentum after he initiated, so there's no real reason to put blame on him. But I will say I did spot him changing gears just before the transition, and he goes from 4th to 2nd gear, which is quite a big wheel speed drop, which could be classified as a deceleration just before the transition, which is actually not legal. So But I do think as well that this is clutching at some straws to kind of point any bit of blame at him for the contact of this area, because, well, if you look at it from the outside, there's no obvious deceleration. So it's kind of hard for the judges or even you guys watching that this is happening. And even I didn't even know that he technically slowed in this area. So because he's changing his wheel speed before he gets to the transition. So yeah, I think how the judges looked at this, they gave it a shared fault. I think that kind of makes sense, right? He's obviously slow in initiation. He doesn't give me a chaseable, predictable initiation to this first corner, and I was expecting to go much, much faster, which he was doing in practice, and because of that, we ended up being in the middle of the track. And then obviously because of that mistake on him that forced me into that middle of the track, I was in a compromised position. I tried my best to give space, but I still made contact, and then they gave me the fault for that because they felt that I had plenty of time to adapt, which I would agree. I did have plenty of time to adapt, but obviously being put in that position initially wasn't that great either. So they gave that contact a shared fault. Then obviously the first run, we did have an advantage after that because he did make some mistakes in the chase run, and because of that, they resulted to that, and we got the win overall. So I think it makes sense. Obviously a very awkward call. I hate these type of calls, but I did find this kind of replay cam super interesting to look back on, because after looking back in this, it kind of eased my my stress about it, because I wasn't very happy with the call afterwards. I did feel that we got very, very lucky, and I do think we were very, very lucky in this one. And obviously we move on, and yeah, pretty lucky guy.